So in today's video, I thought that I would talk a little bit about my braids and how I take care of them and some general tips on doing them. So yeah, if you're interested in hearing about that, keep watching this video. So if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you know that I love wearing braids, and it's mostly because it's the easiest thing to do ever. Meaning I can keep my hair in braids for a couple of weeks and forget about it for the most part. That being said, I'm hoping to start wearing my hair more, maybe later on this year to next year. I just want the length to be able to play more with it. Because it's still in that awkward length phase, even though really it's not as awkward as year one, I think. But still, I would like a little bit of length, and yeah, then I'll start wearing my hair more often. Until then, it is braids. And this time around, I did these box braids. I guess they're called single braids, box braids, depending on where in the world you come from. I mean, they're much thinner than what standard box braids are, because usually box braids are thicker. But I still call them box braids. I'm not sure why. Anyways, let's just call them single braids, and just tell me what you guys call them, because I don't know. I've heard so many people call them different things. I don't normally do these types of braids, like meaning 3-strand braiding. I think mostly because it tends to take a little bit longer than twists. Twists take me just half the time that these take me, or these took me, and so that's why I don't tend to put them in. That being said, I'm surprised at how much I really am enjoying wearing them, and it feels almost like I can keep them in my hair for 2 more weeks, and I've had them for, it's been 6 weeks now, I think, which is incredible. And that's kind of crazy for me, because normally I do my braids, I want to say every 5 weeks. And I think I'm gonna keep this in for another 2 more weeks. So meaning in total, I'll probably I can keep them in for like 10 weeks, to be honest. The first thing I'll say about braids is you'll see, like in my case, I have a very thin hairline. I've had a thin hairline my whole life. I blame it on my mom's side of the family, because everyone has a thin hairline. So my hairline isn't as a result of you know, some type of manipulation, really. I mean, I was kind of born that way, or genetically I'm predisposed to that. That being said, I also know that wearing braids does sort of like pull on your hairline, right? And so it's something to be aware of. And so the general tip I'll give to people who have thin hairlines like myself, or who have worse hairlines than me, is just make sure that you don't braid too tightly in that first row of your braids. Instead, what you want to do is just be a little bit gentle with yourself, and you might actually want to leave out bits of your hair. So like especially the thinner parts of your hair, just leave it out, and you could always like use gel to lay it down if you want. It is still important for you to take care of your hair underneath those braids, because your hair can break and you do not want that, right? Wash your hair the way you might wash your regular hair. I know some people don't like doing that, because it then of course erodes the sort of shine of the braids of the hair. But honestly, nobody wants a smelly head, right? So wash your hair once a week, or at least I wash my hair once a week. Or you could use dry shampoo if you use dry shampoo. I personally never use dry shampoo, but hey, if it works for you, it works for you. But yeah, it's important to wash your hair, maintain your hair, give it the nice little massage, you know. Plus it's just relaxing, like just wash your hair. In my case, after I wash my braids, I tend to like to moisturize them right after. So I know some people like to dry their braids before they moisturize, but personally I don't like to do that, because I don't want my scalp to be dry. Yeah, so since my hair follicles will still be open from having washed my hair, I figure I just moisturize my hair at that point. And so I prefer to just do that. And I like to use a light moisturizer, just because I don't like gluggy type things. I'm just not a fan. Right now for my moisturizer, I'm using a Cantu oil. Once every 2 weeks, I do use my own mix of oils, but my mix of oil is a bit thick, and so I tend not to use it as much, because I don't want buildup in my hair. If you use pomades and that sort of thing, your hair will get more buildup. That's what I find. And so that's why I tend to use oil sort of moisturizers, because it's less build-up-ish. I think there are a couple sprays out there, braid sprays that people use. I find that they're not as moisturizing for my hair, and so that's why I don't use them. But if you do find a good braid sheen or braid moisturizer spray thing that you like, go ahead and use it, and please tell me about it, because I do want to try using those sprays. I just haven't found one that I kind of like and that moisturizes well enough. The other thing is, when you go to bed at night, make sure that your braids are in a bonnet or a headscarf or whatever it is, a sock that you need to be wearing when you go to bed, because even though your hair is in braids, it doesn't mean that you should just go wild and not wrap your hair. I mean, I'm not always consistent, to be honest, with wearing a headscarf and stuff like that when my hair is in braids, because I sort of forget that I have my hair, kind of. But I honestly think it's like really important for you to wrap your hair every night, because it still tugs onto your pillow if you don't have silk pillowcases. And plus, you get a lot of frizzy flyaways if you don't wrap your hair. Especially the older they get, the more frizzier they get. And so wrapping your hair just makes sure that you don't have so many flyaways and like frizzy bits coming out of your hair. In terms of post-braid maintenance or tips that I have, don't be aggressive when you're taking your braids out. So when you take your braids out, you may have buildup, but it is really important that you take care of those tangles. Like, don't just brush them out like that. Like, you will lose your hair and you're just like, why are you doing that to your hair? What did your hair do to you? You know, just be gentle with it. Like, actually go through each braid and pick on each tangle or each knot. The more you keep your braids in, the more tangled your hair is, which means try not to keep your braids in. I'm just, you know, kind of pushing my luck here, and I will keep you guys posted on how many tangles I had, but I'm hoping that I'm not super tangled when I take my braids out. After you take your braids out, it is so worth it to do a deep treatment. Like, it's something that should be just an obvious thing, because your hair, that process of taking the braids out, it's just so stressful for your hair. And your hair has been in braids for however many weeks, and so it misses all that moisture and that love. So just take some time and do some deep loving treatments to your hair, because honestly, again, it will thank you and it will show. And I look at that also as a preparation for the next time you're doing a protective style, whether it's braids or whatever it is. Your hair will be hydrated, moisturized, and feeling good. Like, it'll be soft, which leads me to the next point, which is about make sure you give your hair a break in between braids. Like, don't just braid consistently without any breaks in between. Your hair needs a break. It deserves a break. In my case, I tend to give my hair about, I want to say, like a 3-week break in between braids. Sometimes it's 2, but it's usually 3, certainly during this time of the year. And so yeah, like, I think it's important to make sure that you do give that space in between braids. It just gives your scalp some time to relax and just relax. And plus, yeah, just enjoy your hair for a couple of weeks or something like that. And you don't want to keep pulling on it, because you will weaken your hair follicles. That is pretty much it. Everything that I do with my braids. And but yeah, I really think braids are a great protective style in terms of like growing your hair and like giving your hair a break. That's why I do them. And I hope that this video helps a little bit. Yeah, so I'll keep braiding my hair, because certainly in this weather, it's so much better to have your hair in braids, or at least it's better for me, because my hair is so dry when it's winter time, and living in Canada is kind of, you know, cold at this point in time. So yeah, so like, I think it's important to just keep your hair super moisturized in braids, pre-braid. So yeah, so I think it's super important to keep your hair moisturized pre-braiding, during the braids, and post-braiding. Like, that's like a really important thing. Let me know if you have any tips and tricks for braid maintenance and braiding in general. And also maybe suggest some new hairstyles for me. I'm trying to find a look or some looks, and so yeah, if you can suggest some hairstyles, then that would be awesome as well. So other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.